The Persian Empire ruled the land, but without Sidon, it could not rule the sea. Picture 400 BC. On the eastern edge of the Mediterranean, where the mountains of Lebanon fall toward the coast, one city shines brighter than all the rest. Sidon is not just wealthy. It is not just beautiful. Sidon is indispensable. Persian kings may command armies from the heart of Asia, but armies cannot sail. Orders cannot cross water by themselves. Empires do not move across the Mediterranean without ships, and the finest ships in the world come from here. This is the paradox at the heart of Sidon. Officially, it serves the Persian Empire. In reality, it gives that empire something it cannot build alone: reach and naval power. From this harbor, fleets can be launched, tribute can be protected, messages can travel, and rebellions can be crushed before they spread. But Sidon is more than a military tool. This city turns sand into glass, silver into political messaging, and foreign influence into something local and powerful. Persian authority, Phoenician skill, and Greek taste all collide here, not in chaos, but in a system that makes Sidon richer, sharper, and harder to replace. Today, you are not a distant emperor looking at Sidon on a map. You are inside it. You will walk its harbors at dawn, stand beside blazing furnaces, enter palaces where kings negotiate with empires, pass through markets where silver changes hands, and climb into sacred spaces where healing, faith, and prestige merge into one. And beneath all of it lies a bigger truth. Sidon's power is not only in its warships, it is in its ability to connect worlds that do not naturally trust one another. Persia needs it, Greece buys from it. Merchants depend on it. Artisans enrich it, priests sanctify it. Sailors carry its influence beyond the horizon. By the end of this day, one thing will be clear. Sidon was never just another ancient port. It was one of the engines that kept the ancient Mediterranean alive. And at sunrise, that truth first reveals itself in the harbor. When dawn comes to Sidon, the city does not wake gently. It assembles. From the balcony of your limestone villa, the northern harbor spreads below you like a machine built from wood, bronze, rope, and discipline. The sea is still dark in the first light, but the outlines of warships are already visible through the thinning mist. Row after row, they sit in ordered silence, long and narrow, their hulls resting like predators before motion. These are the ships that give Sidon its weight in the world. The Persian treasury may pay for campaigns, but silver alone cannot build a fleet. These vessels require cedar from the highlands, skilled shipwrights, experienced captains, and hundreds of trained oarsmen who know how to move as one body. All of that lives here. You step out into the morning air and descend toward the quays. The harbor is already alive. Sailors haul amphorae of water and oil aboard patrol ships. Dock workers drag coils of rope across the stone. Officers inspect hull seams, rudders, shields, and spear racks. A scribe reads cargo tallies aloud while another presses notes into wax. No one here behaves as if the sea is romantic. To Sidon, the sea is infrastructure. As the sun climbs higher, bronze rams begin to catch the light at the prows of the triremes. You hear shouted commands, the slap of sandals on planks, gulls circling overhead, and the heavy creak of timber under strain. The harbor smells of salt, wet wood, tar, fish, linen, and smoke from distant workshops beyond the walls. And this is only the visible layer. Behind every ship lies a chain of labor. Forests cut inland, workshops shaping oars, merchants funding expeditions, officials recording obligations, and families whose fortunes rise and fall with the tides. In Sidon, naval strength is not separate from daily life. It is daily life? But even here, among warships and commands, you can sense that Sidon's deepest wealth does not float. It burns. To understand why this city became more than a harbor, you have to leave the water and walk toward the furnaces. Beyond the harbor, Sidon's real miracle begins in fire. The southern industrial quarter is louder, hotter, and harsher than the elegant villas above the waterfront. Here, wealth is not displayed. It is manufactured. You step beneath the shadow of a domed workshop and the heat hits at once. Clay furnaces roar along the walls, fed constantly by charcoal and watched by men whose arms and faces shine with sweat. Crucibles glow orange in the dim interior. Tools of bronze and stone lie ready beside trays of pigments, rods, and unfinished forms. The air tastes of ash, minerals, and something almost sweet rising from molten glass. For most of the ancient world, glass is a rarity, a substance as prized as carved stone or precious ornament. In Sidon, it has become an industry of prestige. A master artisan lifts a rod coated with a clay core and dips it into a vessel of glowing liquid. When he draws it back out, the glass clings like fire made solid. He rolls it with astonishing control, then winds thin threads of yellow, white, and deep blue across the surface. With a pointed tool, he drags those colors into feathered waves and sharp zigzags. What emerges is small, but not ordinary. A perfume bottle, elegant enough for a noble household, light enough for trade, costly enough to cross seas. When the form cools, the clay core will be scraped away, leaving a hollow vessel of impossible color and precision. Shelves nearby hold finished pieces waiting for export. Some will travel west to Greek buyers eager for luxury. Others will move south toward Egypt or east along caravan routes that carry incense, textiles, and silver. Sidon does not merely transport value, it creates it. This is the city's deeper genius. It can take common materials from its own landscape, fuel, pigments, labor, and transform them into objects the wider world cannot resist. Every finished vessel is beauty, technology, and commerce fused into one. But wealth like this must be protected, managed, and negotiated. So the next stop is the palace at the city center. At the palace, Sidon's wealth changes shape. In the harbor, power looks like ships. In the workshops, it looks like fire. Here, it looks like silence, posture, and the ability to refuse without ever saying no. You pass through a broad court lined with cedar columns and dressed stone. The architecture itself tells the story of the city. The foundations are Phoenician, old and local, rooted in the Levant, but above them rise imperial details, carved capitals, formal reliefs, and the visual language of Persian authority. Sidon belongs to an empire, yet it never lets you forget that it was a great city before Persia arrived. Inside the audience hall, the political balance becomes visible. On one side sits the king of Sidon, surrounded by advisors, scribes, and fleet officials. On the other seats the Persian satrap, draped in rich robes, heavy jewelry, and the confidence of the great king behind him. The request is clear. Persia wants more ships. Another campaign is forming, and the empire expects Sidon to deliver. But this is not the meeting of a master with a helpless servant. Everyone in the room understands the reality beneath the ceremony. Persia commands armies across continents, but armies cannot cross the sea without men like these. Ship timbers, dockyards, captains, navigators, and disciplined rowing crews cannot be summoned from thin air. Sidon provides all of it. So the king does what powerful cities do when they know their value. He agrees, but only with conditions. New vessels will be built, but merchant taxes must be eased. Sidonian shipping must receive favorable treatment, Trade access must be widened. The satrap does not like the terms, yet he cannot dismiss them. A deal is recorded on papyrus. No voices are raised, no swords are drawn. And still, Sidon has won something important. In this city, naval power does more than fight wars. It bargains. That is why its kings can stand before empire, bow in form, resist in substance, and leave the room with greater freedom than a lesser city would ever imagine possible in a moment like this today. Power in Sidon can be weighed in the hand. Outside the palace, the city's influence becomes visible in the marketplace, where politics, trade, and trust are compressed into silver. By midday, the central market is in full motion. The streets are wide, paved, and remarkably clean, lined with stalls shaded by woven canopies and crowded with merchants from every direction of the Mediterranean. You hear different accents, see different clothes, and smell everything at once. Olive oil, cedar resin, fish, fresh bread, imported perfume, dyed textiles, and warm dust rising beneath sandals and cartwheels. At a money changer's table, you pick up one of Sidon's prized silver double shekels. It is thick, cool, and heavy with authority. On one face is a war galley riding the waves, the image of Sidon's true strength. On the other is the Persian king in royal motion, followed by the ruler of Sidon. The message is unmistakable. Sidon prospers inside empire, but it advertises itself as essential to that empire's reach. This coin is more than payment, it is a guarantee. It tells traders from Egypt, Cyprus, Ionia, and beyond that value here is measured, recognized, and backed by a city whose ships connect coasts that would otherwise remain distant. In the ancient world, trust is expensive. Sidon has learned how to stamp trust into metal. Around you, business moves quickly. Linen from Egypt is inspected and folded. Amphorae are weighed. Contracts are spoken, confirmed, and recorded by scribes. Scales tip, silver changes hands, and caravans prepare for the inland roads while coastal cargo waits for the next favorable wind. This is why Sidon feels so advanced. It is not simply rich in goods, it is organized around circulation, around making value move smoothly between strangers. Yet even in a city so disciplined by commerce, money is not enough. Trade can enrich a people, but it cannot sanctify them. By afternoon, the noise of exchange gives way to running water, incense, and stone terraces beyond the walls, where Sidon seeks something silver can never purchase: divine favor, healing, and legitimacy before the gods above. Beyond Sidon's walls, the city becomes quieter, but not less powerful. The road leading away from the market follows greener ground, where the hard geometry of trade gives way to trees, flowing water, and the cool breath of the hills. Here, wealth and warfare feel distant. What matters here is continuity, blessing, and the favor of forces greater than kings. You travel toward the sanctuary of Eshmun, the healing god most closely bound to Sidon's identity. The approach itself is designed to change you. Terraces rise from the landscape in pale stone. Monumental stairways lead upward through groves and open courts. Sacred pools catch spring water flowing down from the hills, reflecting the sky in quiet, broken light. After the noise of the harbor and the pressure of the marketplace, the sanctuary feels deliberate in its calm. But this is not escape from the city. It is another expression of it. At the temple, merchants, officials, pilgrims, and local families all move through the same sacred space. Offerings are carried in careful hands. Incense smoke lifts into the air. Water is touched, poured, and watched as if its clarity alone could restore balance to the body and mind. Eshmun is not only a god of healing, he is also a guardian of renewal, prosperity, and protection, especially for a people whose lives depend on risk, movement, and distance. What makes the sanctuary even more remarkable is the mixture within it. Sidon is still Phoenician at heart, yet Greek influence is present here too, not as conquest, but as contact. Visitors from across the sea recognize something familiar in this place. Craftsmen, pilgrims, and patrons bring their own ideas, and Sidon absorbs them without losing itself. That is the city's greatest cultural strength. It does not shut out foreign influence. It selects, reshapes, and elevates it. And nowhere is that ability more visible than in the art created near these sacred spaces, where the people of Sidon begin to imagine how they will be remembered after death, in forms that combine Egypt, Greece, and Phoenicia into something entirely new and unmistakably their own. In Sidon, even death becomes a statement of status, taste, and global connection. Near the sacred precincts and workshops of skilled artisans, the city reveals one of its most extraordinary talents: the ability to take ideas from distant civilizations and fuse them into something richer than imitation. You enter a stoneworking yard where sculptors are deep in concentration. The sound is rhythmic and controlled. Hammer against chisel, metal against marble. White dust hangs in the air and settles across the floor like pale ash. Blocks of stone stand in different stages of becoming. Some are rough and faceless. Others already carry the outline of shoulders, folded arms, and the beginning of human expression. Here, the elite of Sidon commission the objects that will outlast their own lives: anthropoid sarcophagi, great stone coffins shaped with a distinctly Egyptian body form, but crowned with faces carved in the naturalistic style admired across the Greek world. The result is striking. The body speaks the language of ancient kings and sacred preservation. The face speaks the language of realism, personality, and individual memory. This is more than an artistic trend. It is a declaration of identity. Sidon does not borrow because it lacks originality. It borrows because it sits at the center of exchange and knows how to recognize prestige in many forms. Egyptian symbolism offers permanence. Greek craftsmanship offers lifelike beauty. Phoenician patronage gives the final object purpose, ownership, and local meaning. You pause beside one sculptor as he leans close to a marble face emerging from stone. The features are serene, precise, and unmistakably human. In that moment, you understand what makes Sidon different from cities that merely copy foreign fashion. Sidon recomposes the world. It arranges outside influence into a language of power that belongs to itself. That same instinct shapes everything here, from coins to temples to ships. And it does not end in public monuments. It continues behind private walls, around household tables, and inside family alliances, where the city's long-term strength is quietly managed every single day by those who inherit, protect, and extend its influence at home. A city like Sidon does not remain powerful for centuries by chance. Its strength is not stored only in harbors, treasuries, or palace archives. It is preserved inside the household, where wealth is managed, alliances are reinforced, and the next generation learns what power requires. As evening settles over the coast, you return to your villa above the sea. The stone courtyard is cooling after the heat of the day. Servants light small lamps along the walls, and the last red glow of sunset lingers over the harbor below. From somewhere beyond the house, you can still hear ropes creaking against masts and distant voices carrying across the water. Dinner is more than a meal. It is a display of order, comfort, and reach. Platters of grilled fish, olives, figs, herbs, lentils, and fresh flatbread are set before the family. Fine wine is poured into polished glass vessels from Sidonian workshops, objects that quietly remind everyone at the table where much of the city's wealth begins. Every item on the meal speaks of a network: local farms, coastal fisheries, inland estates, eastern luxuries, and maritime trade. The conversation is just as important as the food. Captains discuss safe routes and rumors from Cyprus. Merchants speak of demand in Egypt. News from Greek cities is weighed for opportunity as much as curiosity. In Sidon, politics is never distant from domestic life. The women of the household are not invisible ornaments at the edge of power. They help supervise estates, protect family interests, manage workshops, and sustain the marriages and loyalties that keep elite networks stable across generations. In a city built on movement, they provide continuity. That is what makes this house feel so important. It is not separate from Sidon's greatness. It is one of the places where that greatness is organized, reproduced, and defended. And when the meal is finished and the lamps burn brighter against the dark, the city outside grows quieter, but its hidden machinery keeps working, preparing you to see Sidon in its final and most revealing form, the harbor after nightfall under the patient watching stars. Night changes Sidon without diminishing it. When darkness settles over the coast, the city loses the bright noise of trade, but its deeper identity becomes easier to see. Lamps flicker behind courtyard walls. Harbor beacons burn above the water. The wind moves through cedar branches, and the sea turns black except where moonlight and fire break across the surface. From the terrace, you watch late ships approaching the harbor mouth. Their sails are faint now, their hulls reduced to silhouettes, but the men guiding them do not need daylight to understand where they are. This is the inheritance of a seafaring people. Long before maps are drawn on parchment with precision, the Sidonians have learned to read the world directly. They study stars as markers, currents as pathways, seasonal winds as instruction, and coastlines as memory. To outsiders, the sea is uncertainty. To Sidon, it is a system. That is why this city matters so much. The Greeks may pride themselves on thought. The Persians may command a territory on a scale no port could ever match, but Sidon masters something equally powerful: connection. It knows how to move ships, messages, silver, soldiers, luxury goods, and influence across distances that would otherwise separate cultures into suspicion and silence. Even now, after the markets have emptied and the palace has gone still, the harbor remains a living instrument. Beacon fires guide returning captains between reefs. Watchmen scan the waterline. Ropes groan softly against moorings. Waves strike the seawall in a rhythm so constant it feels like the breathing of the city itself. Looking up into the clear night sky, you understand the true mentality of Sidon. It is not built on land alone, nor on walls, nor on kings. It is built on knowledge passed from sailor to sailor, on courage shaped by repetition, and on the quiet confidence of people who know that the dark sea is not chaos. It is a road, and because Sidon understands roads made of water, its legacy will outlive its fleets, extending far beyond this night, this harbor, and even this empire for centuries ahead. Empires like Persia appear enormous when viewed on a map, but maps can be misleading. They show territory, not the fragile systems that allow territory to function. Sidon was one of those systems. It was a city of harbors, furnaces, sanctuaries, markets, households, and ships, but more than that, it was a city that made distant worlds legible to one another. It connected court to coastline, empire to merchant, ritual to prestige, and raw material to luxury. That is why Sidon deserves to be remembered as more than a prosperous Phoenician port. Its fleets helped project imperial power. Its craftsmen transformed sand into objects coveted across the Mediterranean. Its rulers understood how to turn necessity into leverage. Its artists proved that cultural blending was not weakness but sophistication. and its sailors carried an older truth that empires repeatedly rediscovered. Control means very little if you cannot move. Even after its greatest fleets faded, the logic Sidon embodied never disappeared. Ports remained the hinges of history. Trade remained dependent on trust, standards, and transport. Cultural influence continued to flow most powerfully through places willing to absorb outside ideas and remake them into something new. In that sense, Sidon feels strangely modern. It belonged to the ancient world, but it operated on principles that still shape ours. So when you think back on this single day in 400 BC, remember what you have really seen. Not just a wealthy city, not just a naval base, not just a subject of Persia. You have seen a civilization of connection, one that understood how power travels, how wealth circulates, and how identity can grow stronger through exchange rather than fear. Sidon did not simply stand beside the ancient Mediterranean. It helped hold the ancient Mediterranean together. And if you want to continue this journey, the next stop might be Tyre, Carthage, or the trade routes that carried Phoenician influence far beyond the horizon. Because once you understand Sidon, you begin to see the ancient world not as scattered civilizations, but as a network built by cities brave enough to master movement, exchange, and adaptation